Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Retro Wednesday, although I'm kind of shooting it on Thursday. I want to introduce you guys to, an old friend of mine. This is the SegaCD Model 2. This is actually the first CD-based console to hit mainstream. I believe there was another one on the way shortly. I think the 3DO followed after that. And this was to pretty much combat the threat of the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo started picking up steam around that time, and since the Genesis had came out during mid Nintendo's lifespan, it was kind of eventually it was starting to phase out. So this poor Sega Genesis needed a little something to help with this longevity, if you will. Yay! I'm gonna break my shit. Okay. It was pretty cool. It actually expanded the memory supposedly on the Sega Genesis, but you really couldn't tell any difference because the games will run the way they're gonna run no matter what. It's not gonna help with any slowdown or anything like that. First time I played it was I believe it was obviously it was when it first came out. I was at a Blockbuster Video. I was renting a couple of Super Nintendo games, and then I saw that. I mean, we saw a display for it, like those kiosks that you see over at the GameStop, and lo and behold, here's the Sega CD, and I was playing Sewer Shark, and man, I was blown away by it. It was so cool seeing like the FMV mixed up with with some actual gameplay. At the time, it didn't seem like just some novelty or some cash in for it. It actually seemed like they were legitimately putting the FMV into the game to really enhance the experience. And just like everybody, I bought into it, and I still somewhat bought into it. I just love it. A few years later, my Super Nintendo was starting to crap out. My controllers seemed to be shorting out. At the time, I was living in Tucson, and my sister had just moved in, and she just had her Sega Genesis, and I told her that I was thinking about getting a Sega CD. Can I use her Genesis Model 1 for it? And she was all for it because she was so wrapped up in going to school that she wasn't really playing her Sega Genesis much anymore. And plus, the fact that I was going to put money into it, who wouldn't want extra peripherals or extra games for their console, And I ended up buying her like X-Men and games that I would play and she wouldn't. I took my Super Nintendo with, I think I had like 25 games for it, and I took it down to Bookman's over in Tucson. I was like a few steps away from Bookman's. It was pretty cool. I was living on Ina Road. I think that's where the Bookman's is. I told them that I wanted the Sega CD, so it was either $90 in cash or it would be like a straight trade. He thought, wow, sucker, he's gonna get the Sega CD, and I'm gonna get all his shit, no problem. And I'm thinking, wow, sucker, he's getting my faulty Super Nintendo. And in retrospect, I think it was just a bad trade. I should have just bought another Super Nintendo. But I did take on the Sega CD, and my father did give me some more money, and I got it was Batman Returns. It came with Sewer Shark. I eventually ended up getting Tomcat Alley. I actually still play Tomcat Alley, and I actually still enjoy Tomcat Alley. And another great game, a great fighter that I think just really didn't get its due was Eternal Champions Challenge from the Dark Side. This is a really, really good fighter, and it has a lot of depth. There's like a lot of stuff to like unlock in here. I think there's up to like 24 characters already, plus an additional like 10 or something like that. I could be wrong. There was also like these things called Cinekills, which if you can even pull them off, you had a cinematic fatality. And then of course there was like fatalities in level, and of course if you're like in a certain part of the level, you can pull off these things called vendettas or something like that. Terminator CD, that's the best version of the Terminator. And if you were to get other ports that came out, like I believe Pitfall, the Mayan Adventure came out on the Sega Genesis, it came out on the Super Nintendo, but there was also a Sega CD port, and it actually was superior. I had the Sega CD for about a year after I got it from Bookman's, and I ended up trading that one in, and they ended up giving me less. I think, no, they ended up giving me another $90 for that and like another 10 or 15 Sega CD games, like I said, good ones. And I ended up using that to upgrade to my Sega Saturn. Now let's fast forward this clock all the way to 2013. I went down to it was called the Veterans Thrift Store over in Chula Vista, and I found a few N64 cards. Now I don't have an N64, but I knew that these titles, I think I had like a couple, I had like some Mario Kart 64. Now I remembered when I was looking through those N64 cards that Luna Games actually didn't have the Mario Kart 64. So I was thinking, hey, I bet I can flip this game, probably make a little bit more, money. So I ended up buying it for $8, took it down to Luna Games. They gave me, I think, $20, 20, 25 or something like that. So they gave me a pretty good deal on it. Then I saw that they actually had a Sega CD. So here I go again. I got another Sega CD, and I can't wait to find all those old games again. I started looking around and I found that they were a lot more expensive than I remembered. That's my story of my my history of the Sega CD, my personal history of the Sega CD. If you guys got a history just like mine, please make a comment below. And of course, you can always do a video response. I would love to hear you guys' story. And until next time, stay true, stay you.